and welcome back to the Home Learning Experiment. Episode 3, I finally have my first real guest who is not my husband. Introducing Sally. Hi,
Hi.
Sally.
Hi, it's so nice to meet you, Clodagh.
You too. How are you today?
Really good. Really excited to be on your podcast.
I'm very excited to hear what you have to say. I feel like your episode is going to be so good. You've got a lot to share. So, Sally is a homeschooling mom, yeah,
Yep, I am.
and a teacher who has
Yes.
left the system, which is very, very exciting. And she has her own business for children that she's going to share. So, very exciting to hear from you today. So, to start off, do you want to tell us about yourself and your homeschooling
Mm.
journey? Like, how did this all come about? How did you go from teaching and now you're homeschooling your own children and doing things with other children outside the system? I'm so excited to hear your story.
Well, I actually started out working in childcare when I first finished school, and you obviously don't have to have any qualifications to work in childcare, but I really think you do need them because after my sort of year bouncing around different childcare centres, that's not for me. So I worked in law firms for a while I was studying my master's um, to become a teacher. And then I worked in the system. I was at this beautiful IB school, International Baccalaureate School in leafy eastern suburbs, like most incredible wellbeing team, the most beautiful teaching colleagues that you could ever wish for or ask for. And I really loved it. I loved teaching. I loved being with the kids. Like it was just the best. That was definitely like, it felt like my calling. I really enjoyed it. And there were aspects of it that I didn't love, but I kind of just thought, like I put it down to everything else except for something that I could change, right? Like it is the system at the end of the day. There's certain things that are expected of a teacher, even if they're not super comfortable. Um, and then I had my first child, and I realized that there was just no way on this planet that I could put him into childcare, and I could not put him into the school system. Um, but throughout my years as a teacher, I had the most incredible mentorship and leadership teams. And a lot of the times when we came across parents who had these doubts and children who didn't quite fit the mold or were having a hard time at school, I would often hear leadership saying things like, you need to trust us. We're professionals. We see this all the time. We can put things in place. Your child is okay. Once you leave, they're happy. And so I thought maybe it's me. Maybe I need to just give this a try and a go. And so I did put my son into kinder. It was a disaster. He hated every second of it. I
Oh,
hated every second of it. I pulled him out. Um, by the end of term 1, I kept thinking, I've got to trust my colleagues. She's a professional. She knows what she's doing. Um, but things happen in these places, and we don't always know about them right away. And I wish that I had listened to my instincts and that I had listened to my child, because he was telling me in his own way that things weren't right there. And I kept doubting that that was happening. One example is that they were putting one of the children into timeout in the kitchen unsupervised,
oh,
and telling the children that they were naughty, which isn't language that we really use at home. Like it's not part of our vernacular, really. So it was really surprising to me when he started coming home and saying, I'm a good boy, mummy. I'm one of the good ones. I'm not a naughty boy. And I was like, okay. And he actually never got in trouble and put into timeout. But just watching that happen to another child was enough to really affect him so deeply. And it took him over a year to really start trusting adults again.
wow.
Um, and we tried another kinder here in Victoria when we moved here because I was really struggling to stay on top of everything. I wanted to go back to classroom teaching. I had a 1-year-old, was trying really hard to manage everything. And we found this beautiful bush kinder. It's on-site bush kinder. And he went there 2 days a week and he loved it. And it was small classes. It was open-ended. It was free flow, a lot of nature play, a lot of art. And I could see how that would benefit children of all ages and how much he loved it and how much all the children were devastated to be moving on to school.
Yeah.
And we had him enrolled at my school where I had an ongoing position. I had this beautiful safety net. I could go back there anytime. I could go back part-time. And I did try. I tried so hard and it wasn't for me. And we had him enrolled there. We did the transition sessions. And I could just see that it wasn't the school the school was beautiful. It wasn't the teachers, they were amazing. They had all these things in place. They had these beautiful well-being things. They had the IB program itself is very inquiry-based and child-led. They had play-based learning up to year 2 at that school.
Wow.
It was amazing. It was a genuinely,
Yeah.
if I had to pick a school, that's where I would have sent him, and that's why he was enrolled there.
Yeah.
But it was still a school. It's loud, it's busy, there's fluorescent lights, there's so many bodies packed into one room under the supervision of one adult who may or may not have any grounding in child development. There's an overstuffed curriculum, there's
Yeah.
all the data gathering, there's just as you get stuck into a task, a bell rings and it's time to move on. And you get 10 minutes at a set time to eat your lunch and then run around for half an hour and that's it for the day. Like sit back down at your desk and keep working. And I just thought, I can't do that to him. Like that, it felt so unnatural. And so we started homeschooling and we started looking for somewhere to live that would have a space where I could run some sort of a homeschool program. And we found this amazing house where the upstairs is a living area and downstairs is a big studio with a kitchen, a toilet, and access to a secure outside area. The landlords are amazing and they know that we're running this and they're fully supportive. Um, and we've turned this into our studio. So we've got a children's studio here. I have children coming twice a week.
Wow.
We do what I love, which is art. We do social things. We do games. We do sensory stuff. And it's like kinder extrapolated out for all ages. And it's been amazing. So that's my whole story from start to finish, I think.
I love it. No, that's absolutely brilliant. So how old are your kids now?
My eldest is almost 7 and my youngest is 3.
Perfect. So they've been homeschooling is it your son, the oldest?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's been homeschooling for like he would be in like year 1 or year 2 if he was in the
I
school.
think he would technically be in year 1 this year.
Yes.
His birthday's right on the cutoff.
Oh, yeah.
So he was at kinder, like almost a full year older than some of the other children.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. And then so you've got like all different ages in
Yeah,
your
so my
program.
youngest is 3 and the eldest that comes to our program is 12.
Oh, wow. So they can kind of learn from different ages and work together, which is incredible. How many kids are like in a group have you got?
My maximum at the moment, I've got 12 on a Thursday and 6 on a
Wow.
Monday. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's
So
obviously like people are looking for these kind of places and alternative for school. And have you found that like maybe there's more people homeschooling now or like is there a big
absolutely.
community?
Yeah, so we started going to some homeschool catch ups when my eldest was 3 because I was starting to think that maybe school wasn't for us. But I still wanted to give it a try. I thought maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I
Right.
was wrong. um, it works for some families, it just was not going to work for our family.
Yeah.
Um, and so we experienced the homeschool community in Perth, which is actually quite close knit and um, I found it quite tricky to break into. And then when we moved back to Victoria, we started joining meetups, even while my son was at kinder. So I found just how welcoming and kind the homeschool community is. It's amazing. You feel like you're at home when you walk into these catch ups. You don't know anyone, and they're like, "Would you like to share my picnic blanket?" Or,
Yeah.
it's just so lovely
Yeah.
getting to know everyone. And it's just every week there's new people at those
Wow.
sort of catch ups. Yeah.
So do you feel like the community is just getting bigger and bigger as do you think it's like homeschool's getting more accessible with like
I think
online?
it is. I think people are realizing that there are so many ways to do it.
Yeah.
And sometimes desperation's the mother of invention, right? So
That is
people
a
are starting to get to the point where they're like, we can't do this anymore.
yeah.
What do we do? How do we make this work?
Yeah. And what do you think's going on in the schooling system? So yeah, I'm a teacher as well.
Mhm.
So I haven't worked full time for like I mean my daughter's 7 now, but I just feel like things have changed so much since I even like in 7 years since I was full time. Just the amount of things that teachers have to do. Like when I run into old colleagues, then they're not like, "Oh, you should come back. It's great." They're like, "Don't come back. It's horrible." That things have changed intensely. Like what is going on?
Man, I wish I had like a very quick answer for you, but I think the quick answer is the system.
Mm,
Like, the powers that be up in their ivory towers are looking down and thinking, oh my gosh, our academic results are no good. What do we do? And so they commission all this research and then they don't do what the research says. They do what they want to do anyway, the quick fix, the thing that's going to make it, very quickly you get results. But what about long term
yeah.
and well being and all the things that we know is true about children and human development in general? So, yeah, there's so much. And the push for the explicit instruction is a little bit worrying to me because I've obviously come from a background with regio play based,
Yeah.
international baccalaureate inquiry, child led, and I see how the children have thrived.
Yeah.
And so to move from that to PowerPoint presentations for
Mhm.
every lesson, and I understand that you do see really good results short term, but I'm not sure how that looks after a child's been doing that for 14 years of their life, or even for 12 years if they're not doing it for kinder.
Yeah.
Um, that's a lot.
It is a lot, and I feel like it's just happening earlier and earlier. Like, when I started teaching, like, the preps they were playing, they were
Mm,
doing crafts, like, there was, things set up around the classroom for them, like the investigations, and it was
yes.
wholesome, and they were not sitting at a desk at 5 years old and, like, writing for hours and expected to just kinda, like, sit down and be quiet. And I feel like, labels are coming on really quickly. "Oh, they can't
Mhm.
sit down." It's like, "Well, they're 5 years old." Like, a lot of these kids, this is not natural to
Yes.
it's not, like, biologically doesn't make sense. And now I feel like, there's not often that you will walk into a foundation classroom and they are doing these kind of things. Like, there's been a big shift into, like, well, they don't need to be reading earlier. They're behind if they're not reading at 5 years old, and like, it's just I mean, that's only since I've been teaching. I don't think I've been
Yeah.
teaching that long, and, like, a lot of the early years teachers, they're like, "This is going against everything that I
Mm.
believe as a teacher."
The
However
early years teachers that I was ready to chain myself to our local kinder because it's such a beautiful space, small group sizes, outside a lot. The teachers love what they're doing. And the government's now introducing the 30 hours of 3-year-old kinder.
Yeah,
How can you manage that in the same facilities? They're not upgrading the facilities.
yeah,
And to make it work, you have to have split classes, so multi-age classes.
yeah,
The difference between a child who's just turned 3 and a child like my son, who was already 5 when he started 4-year-old kinder,
yeah,
that is a massive age gap.
yeah.
And and then to make it work with numbers and with funding, you need to have 40 kids in a group.
Wow.
And that just like I was the vice president at our kinder and just going through all of the documentation and trying to logistics and, staffing and all of that. It just blew my mind that that was what they were pushing for. And what really blew my mind was that, so when I started teaching, this huge research had just come out and said that we needed more play based learning. And this was government funded research. And we were all like cheering, like, yes,
Yeah.
they're right. We need more play based learning. And so the research was saying we needed play based learning up to year 2 as a minimum. And that
Wow.
children shouldn't be, until they're 7 years old, they shouldn't be forced into reading and writing
Yeah.
unless they're showing an interest. And that's a totally different story. Um, and the government took that research, and this was my first year out. So I'm like this naive little grad thinking, oh, how good, they're going to make some positive change. Um, Instead, they introduced 4-year-old funded kinder, and everyone went, huh? And now it's 3-year-old funded kinder.
Yep.
And that's not at all what the research was saying. They're like, we'll give you more play based learning
Earlier.
earlier.
Yeah, we'll do it at 3 and
And we
4,
were like,
not what the research
um,
is saying.
and I think that's what happens when they do this research. They take little snippets of it and then do what they want anyway.
Yeah.
And it's very frustrating when you're working in that system and you see what needs to happen and you can't do anything about it.
No, exactly, and as I say, I've talked to so many teachers, they're like, "Well, we need a job. We
Hmm.
can't rattle the cage too much and stuff," and I feel like, yeah, it's just super hard, like, teachers are unhappy with it, the kids are unhappy. I feel like a lot of it is, like, it just kinda, like, sucks their soul.
Yes.
So,
You can
especially
see the light drain out of their eyes.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, we our first 2, my older one is still in school and second one in kinder, and it's our third son who does not fit the system that has made me go, "Whoa, hold on, what is happening?" Like, it's taken me a lot longer because my first child fits the system perfectly. She'll sit there sweetly and do all her work and, make all their nap plan data look good later on, and then not my son. So now I'm like, "Holy moly," I'm rethinking, like, everything, but it's a bit like what you were describing. There's been this gut feeling where I'm like, "Oh, this doesn't feel right." Like, I can see that, like, love of learning and spark being taken from her, and a bit like your experience, she's at an amazing school. Her
Mhm.
teacher is passionate, like, stunning, and it's not the teacher, it's not her friends or anything, it's just the system. Like, there's not much teachers can do, and I think they're
Yep.
all really well-meaning, but you can't fight against the system and stuff. And then there are so many teachers who are choosing to homeschool or leaving the
Yes.
profession, which I think is like a giant red flag for the
Massive red
education
flag.
system. Huge.
I
Like, there's
swear
so
about half
many.
of the homeschool mums that I've come across are teachers or
Yes,
ex-teachers.
absolutely. It is.
I
I
think
think
that was actually what inspired or gave me that little bit of extra. I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for, but when it came up that my maternity leave period was ending, I thought, it's now or never. Like, I've got this amazing safety net that that's what I worked so hard for. I
yes.
desperately wanted that so that I could go on mat leave and come back to this amazing school that I love, and I had to give it up, and I resigned a few weeks ago,
Wow.
and it was just
Wow.
but I think it was the right choice. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it feels so right in my soul that I'm on the right track, and because the system is unchangeable,
yeah,
the only way that I've been able to get around it or think around it is to just step back completely
yeah. It's
because I
almost
don't
like
think
a
we can change it from the inside.
yeah, and I think taking that stand as well, like, I'm a teacher and I don't want my kids in this schooling system, and more people are doing it. I think,
Yep.
it's like change makers. That's how you make the change. If you can't work within, then it's going to be these kinda, people are gonna be looking, "Hold on, why are the teachers not even sending their kids to school? Why are they questioning this? Like, this is not good. This is
Yes.
really not good." And I think it's good for maybe people who are not in the schooling system as well. Like, there's heaps of people, but like, like in my situation, maybe they've got like a, ASD child or something like that, that they're like, "Oh, school will be fine." But they've got that gut feeling that it isn't right, but they don't have the knowledge, about what's going on in the schooling system. Like,
Yes.
to hear, like stories like ours where teachers are going, "Nope, nope, this does not work," so that they get the confidence to follow that gut feeling. I think
Well,
it's
for
like,
a lot of people, they haven't stepped foot in a primary school since they were in primary school. So
no.
you just don't know. You don't know what's going on. You don't know what programs are being used or what
Yeah,
your child does all day, every day, and how that feels for them. Like, it's a very different world now than it was when we were at school. And
yeah,
unless you're in that classroom, you just don't know.
exactly, exactly, and then the kids don't give you much as well. You can just maybe see,
How
"Oh,
was
what
your
are you
day?
talking?"
Good.
"Good, did nothing, was boring." "Did you eat your lunch?" "No, didn't get time." It's like,
Yes. And all those things are probably very true as well.
"Yes." "What was your favorite part?" "Lunchtime was fun."
Yep.
Love
Always.
playing with my friends. So what kind of reactions have you been met with, homeschooling? Like, I feel like it's kind of feels a bit, I don't know, every time I mention it, like, say, "Oh, thinking about homeschooling," people are like, "Whoa, that's it kinda goes against, maybe, like, the societal norm." Have you had, like, mixed reactions to homeschooling or people, like, questioning your decision?
Do you know what? That is actually really funny to me. You're probably the only person that I've heard say that in a very long time. Like,
Oh, wow.
I have only had positive reactions from colleagues, from friends, family, people who I thought would be like, "Oh, are you sure?" Fully 100% backing the decision to do it. Um, Even our grandparents. Like,
Amazing.
yeah, so interesting. And people saying, if they had their time again, they would do it.
Wow.
Like, I have not had any negative reactions from anyone that I can think of. So yeah, maybe I'm in a bubble, but
A very good bubble.
it's a great bubble. I like my bubble. I'm staying here.
Yeah, that's
But I think that
wonderful.
that does give me a lot of confidence as well to be able to do something like the program that I'm running, because I know that I've got so much support around me, even if it's just in the well wishes of people around me. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, which is
yeah.
amazing. I think that support is really helpful. And as like you were doing that, the community is growing. If you're not getting that support from like external, people in your lives, and there's
Yes.
other people like you. I was talking to
Yeah.
you, like messaging you, like, how does this work?
Yes. Yes. And
Which
that's I encourage people to do that as well. Like start reaching out, even if you're not sure, even if at the end of the day you choose not to. Ask the questions, because I think that that's so important to make sure that you are making an informed choice.
yeah,
Is if you have decided to send your child to school, just to know that that's not your only choice anymore.
yes,
That, like, yes, I am speaking from a position of privilege, because not every family can make homeschooling work, and I fully understand that. But having said that, I have come across so many different families and types of families where people are making some pretty extreme sacrifices to make this work.
for sure.
So I do think that there is, I think that most people can make it work if they really need or want to.
Yeah. I think it's just that change can be scary as well,
It
like people
can.
are doubting themselves. Like even, like, I've got teaching experience and all that, and I'm going, oh my gosh, me being solely responsible for the children's education. Like it's scary to jump into and all that. And um,
There's just so
yeah,
much out there now, like in terms of resources and support and networks and activities you can do. And yeah, and there's little programs like mine popping up as well, which I think is really important
which is spectacular. Do you feel like people need to be teachers to make this work, or can they?
to make homeschooling work.
Yeah,
No,
homeschooling.
absolutely not. No. I think if you know your child, if you're willing to put in a little bit of effort and you're committed to it,
Yeah,
absolutely you can make it work. And yeah, you absolutely don't need a teaching degree
yeah,
to access the internet. Do you know what I mean? Like there's so much out there now.
yeah.
Um, I do about an hour 3 times a week of explicit instruction with my eldest. And he's easily at or beyond grade level, but
Yeah,
I actually don't quantify it like that anymore. It's just that he's progressing.
yeah,
And it's been really hard to shift that mindset from, oh, is he reading, at level, and is his
yes,
maths on? It doesn't actually matter,
yeah,
because when you're living this way, when they come across a thing that they need to know, you're right there to support them and teach it to them.
yeah.
And if you're living life with your children, it would be very hard for them to have many gaps. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they're out in the real world, they're experiencing, they're socializing, they're discussing things with people, they're seeing what's happening. And yeah, I'm actually finding he's just so switched on and intelligent and can hold the most amazing conversations. And yeah, I definitely think anyone would be able to do that.
Just amazing. So what does a typical week look like for you guys? Like, how do you
Mm.
make it work? What do you do? What resources do you use?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so on a Monday we have our older kids come for a half day.
Yeah.
And we do a project group. So this term we are making products for the Homeschool Christmas Makers Market. So they're split into 3 groups, and they've made kinetic sand, slime, and Play-Doh. And they've made little
Oh,
kits. We're in the middle of pricing them up. They've made logos. And then we're actually going to the markets and selling on the 28th of November. So that'll be really fun as well. Um, so that's what our Mondays look like, and that's our learning on the Monday. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we try and do 1 hour in the morning of explicit instruction. So the library is a really good resource if you want some take home readers. We followed a synthetic phonics sequence. So to teach my eldest reading, that's what we did. We actually moved through that so quickly, and it was surprising to me because when I've worked in prep classrooms, it takes, at least 2 terms to get through that
yeah.
sequence. Um, and doing it 3 days a week, we got through it within like 1 term. We were
Wow.
just like, and it comes up in daily conversation. It comes up reading a
Yeah.
bedtime story. It's all the things intertwined
Yes.
throughout the day. Um, so we break that up into our reading, writing, and maths. They're the core things that we focus on.
Yeah.
Um, and then as he has progressed throughout the year, we'll start adding in different things. So we did a little bit of spelling. We've done some handwriting. We've done, like bringing in all different aspects. But most of the other subjects are covered throughout our daily life.
Yeah.
So we're covering all of the science when we do our cooking or we go to the zoo or whatever it is that comes up. Um, and then on a Thursday, we have our main play and create day with
Right.
the 12 children that come. Um, and on that day, I have art activities out. We do, it's very open ended, it's all process art. So there's no cookie cutter, creations that go home.
Yeah.
There's lots of social games. So, really interestingly, it took almost a whole term for most of the children to even show an interest in the art activities
Wow.
because they were just something that I have found is missing from homeschool communities is consistent social connections.
Yeah.
So my son gets very anxious in social situations and not knowing when we went to a catch up who was going to be there. They often move around, even if it's the same group, it'll be a different park, a different location. And not knowing like things that were outside of his control, what games are going to be played, who's going to be there to interact with, that was really quite anxiety inducing for him. So one of the big things that I focus on with Little Cabbages is that we have consistent social connections. So I try to not have people come in midterm
Yeah.
or, randomly have kids coming and going. Like I ask for a full-term commitment because the kids have thrived socially. There's very minimal conflict and any conflict is resolved so quickly. It blows my mind. Um, the the games that they play, like they make no sense to me at all, but I don't need to play them. So I don't, I don't try and understand them. But they are like ongoing week by week and they come in so excited to see each other again and to keep
Yeah.
going with what they were doing the previous week. So that is one really big thing that I've loved about running this program is that consistency and being able to see those relationships develop over time has been really important. So that's probably the one thing that I was missing in our so we did 2 terms and I've only been running this program for term 3 and now term 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. And I feel like that's really good to know as well because often when they're like, "Oh, what about socialization?" That's a big thing that comes up about homeschool. Like I've heard it quite a bit, and that's really good tips for people to make sure that there's like ongoing with the same people and to make it work. Because I feel like something that parents are conscious about, and that's what you get met with when mention homeschool. People are like, "What about socialization?"
Yes.
Oh, they'll be
Oh my
fine.
gosh, we are like inundated with activities. Like I would really like them to be doing, so there's this beautiful horse riding place and I really would like them to be doing horse riding 1 day a week and Ruckus, which is a
Oh,
circus
what's
school in Bayswater.
that? Ooh.
So that's been a real hub for the homeschool community for quite a long time.
Okay.
They have a 1 o'clock on a Wednesday class
Yeah.
and it's a homeschool class. And it seems like people come from all around that general area in Bayswater to Ruckus, and they're very neuroaffirming. They're
Wow.
very they teach skills, but they're not very prescriptive about everybody has to do the exact same thing at the exact same time. It's very, but there's still boundaries. Like it's a
Yeah.
really beautiful space.
It's
So
done
there are
well.
certain spaces, like as you start to talk to people, you start to realize there are little hubs
Yeah.
and groups and like ways to start meeting people and to develop those social connections. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I feel like if you as a parent and you're homeschooling, if you're actively on top of it as well, it's only in like those extreme cases, that people might hear about and they're like, "Oh, homeschool kids don't socialize."
Yes.
Like I've heard quite the opposite actually, that they're like,
Oh
"We're
my
more
gosh.
busy than ever." Like,
I'm so busy. I don't know how people work full time and
yeah.
have their children in school all week. Like their weekends must be absolutely slammed. I don't know how they do it, honestly.
Yeah.
We need the weekend to recover.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then so how do you go, like you're with the kids all the time? Do you get time
Mm.
for yourself? Like what does that look like for you?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So, that's actually another reason why I created this program because speaking to other homeschool families, there is nothing between
Mm.
mainstream school full time and homeschooling full time. And if you are the primary caregiver and oftentimes it falls to one person.
Yeah.
There's no reprieve, there's no break.
Yeah.
There's not very many places you can drop your child off for a day,
Yeah.
but a lot of the time these children aren't able to access full-time school.
Yeah.
Um, there's not very many alternative schedules available.
Yeah.
Um, and so you're kind of in this, you're stuck, right? Like I love my children, but it's
Yeah.
not healthy to be around anyone 24/7
Yeah.
without a break. And you also need time, even if it's just to be able to plan for the homeschooling.
Yeah.
Like, when do you get time to sit down and plan out what you're going to be doing and book activities and do everything if you're with your children all the time? Um, and so a lot of families were sort of relying quite a lot on screen time or, play dates and like swapping
Yeah.
days with another parent. And I just thought, you know what? People need a breather. Like,
Yeah.
it's really important to be able to access that for yourself.
Yeah.
So for me, the way that we've managed it is my husband takes the children out for at least on one of the days of the weekend so that I can have some time to myself and to breathe. Um, but for some families, yeah, it looks like dropping them off at a program like Little
Yeah.
Cabbages, or there are a few programs around that you can drop children off to. And obviously, as they get a little bit older, it becomes easier. But yeah, that is one tricky aspect of it.
Yeah.
Um, but there's ways to make it work.
Yeah, perfect. So tell us about your program. Like, what are your visions for it?
Oh my gosh.
How did it come about? Like, it sounds amazing. I wish you lived down
Uh,
here.
I know. We actually had someone traveling up from Frankston every week. So
Wow.
that was, yeah. And we've got people coming from Kew, from Kangaroo Ground,
Yeah.
from,
Oh,
like
wow.
this. Yeah, people are coming from quite a long way because I think there's not much like it.
Yeah.
Um, so obviously with a homeschool program, it's you the rules around it are that I can't run as a school.
Yes.
And obviously, I'm not running as a school. I am not, and I will not ever offer to educate someone else's child
Yeah.
from start to finish. It's absolutely not what I'm here for. And actually, I prefer it that way because I think the curriculum is so overstuffed and unreasonable. So I've picked things that I love. I love art. I love process art, um, just creating generally. Um, and I would really like to eventually move into more literacy as well, but I'm not really sure what that looks like yet. But the art side of things, I was like, do you know what? I'm going to have this big studio space. It's all tiled. It's easy to clean. Let's just like go ham with the art stuff. So we've got, we do all sorts. We've just been decorating a Gaudi style, like, the Barcelona in Spain.
Yeah.
And they do all those beautiful mosaics,
Yeah.
Anton Gay. Yeah. So we've just been experimenting, my son and I, with an activity where we'll be able to just use clay to create like a turret and put like mosaic pieces all into it, and then we'll grout it and make it amazing. Um, we do all sorts of things. And then I have little stations around the place because of my prep days. So we have little spaces that are made for one or two children, spaces that are made for bigger groups. We've got little hidey holes, spots where they can relax or have a break if they're a little bit sensory overloaded. It's very free flow, so they're indoor, outdoor. There's an element of trust there as well. So I do have an amazing group of children, and it works very much on dynamics. And I wouldn't have this many children in the space if I wasn't comfortable with the
Yeah.
group. Um, so they're able to just access the garden whenever they need to. Like, one day my son spent 6 hours on a swing. He
Right.
needed that to regulate his body. And I remember thinking, if he was at school today, yes, he'd probably have accommodations made. And yes, he'd probably have been allowed to go outside to take a break and maybe even to use a swing. But he would have been hurried, and
Yeah.
people would have been checking in, and he would have had 5 minutes and then asked to come in. And I was just thinking about how his behavior would have been and how his brain would have been scrambled by the end of that day because he needed 6 hours on a swing.
Yeah.
And it's just those sorts of things that I try and keep in mind here. So if some days the children, it's an invite. If they want to come and make art, that's an invitation. And you don't have to take up an invitation.
Yeah.
Some days they just want to play games all day. They want to have group games, red light, green light, night at the museum, heads down, thumbs up, whatever it is, we facilitate it, we play it. Um, and then other days they all want to be doing the art activities, and
Yeah.
we all sit around and we're all crammed around the table doing whatever it is that we're doing. So
Yeah. So
Yeah.
really just following their lead and what they wanna do, which is, like, the way that education should be. I feel like that if they're
Yeah.
interested, they're going to learn well, instead of just having, like, facts and,
Yes.
slideshows played at them, and then, "Oh, I'll remember this for the test," and whatever, and then, "Oh, I don't know, who cares?"
Exactly. So I think a really important aspect of it is that I got the teaching background and the knowledge and experience and a really strong grounding in child development. So my first year out, I was so lucky that our principal sent us to the ratio conference in Sydney,
Mhm.
and it was life changing.
Yep,
Like I can't even explain. And I keep a lot of all of that in mind when so my program is heavily scaffolded,
yep,
like in the background.
yep,
So most of my time spent on the program is in the background, making sure that things are developmentally appropriate. I have monkey bars in the backyard, for example, because I know that that's really important for shoulder strength. Because if they don't have shoulder strength, they can't have fine motor strength in their fingers.
yep,
So that's just one very small example, but like everything I do is very intentional, and I don't put things out that I know are not going to be appropriate for
yep,
them in terms of their experience, their development, their capacity. I don't want to overwhelm them. I don't want to shame them or embarrass them or make them feel like they have not succeeded. Like I'm trying to set them up for success. But at the same time, I want it to be engaging and to give them that little dopamine hit that's not on a screen, that's coming from their creativity. Um, and it's all very intentional. And so when I'm with the children physically, like in the room with them, sometimes I feel like I'm not doing enough, but I think that's the point.
yep.
Like to be able to know that I've scaffolded enough that now it's them exploring that space and that they've got a supportive, safe, guiding adult, but that they are able to explore that at their own pace and in their own time.
Which is something that just schools don't allow to do in the public system. Do you just, the Reggio approach, do you have you, like, explain what that is for maybe people who don't understand
Oh my gosh, it's
what
a
it
way of being. It's a way of existing. It's just, oh, the 100 languages of children has carried me through probably the last 10 years. Oh, sorry, my iPad is about to die.
Oh,
I thought I had enough charge on it. So, the 100 languages of children is about how children are born with 100 languages and 100 more. And by the time they're adults, those languages have been beaten out of them until it's down to reading, writing, and maths. But that they can express themselves, they can communicate in so many more ways than that, that they can experience and share their being through light, through paint, through their hands, through all their senses, through connection with other beings. There's so many ways to communicate, so many ways of being, um, and it's really a lot about like the rhythm and of life and natural resources. I think that sometimes Reggio can be a bit, it's been taken by a lot of early childhood centres here in Australia and used to just mean we have some cute resources.
yeah.
Um, and that's not the deeper meaning of
Yeah,
Reggio. And it's similar to Montessori, right? Like
yeah,
Montessori's gone from being this, it came from an impoverished neighborhood in Italy where they were using recycled and scavenged resources. And now it's become a rich person's
yeah.
fantasy land of beige.
Beige.
Um, Whereas Maria Montessori is someone who I'm also so inspired by, where she says things like, the children are now working as if I'm no longer here. And that was her goal.
Yes.
And I think of that all the time where I can be in this space. The children know I'm there. They know that I'm safe. They know that they are able to access things. They know what the boundaries are
Yeah,
without me having to stand over them and shame them and punish them. Um, and they can learn and explore.
yeah.
And that's my goal. So that's, yeah.
Sounds
And
amazing.
I've been actually in some meetings with some people to see if we can extrapolate this model and put it in other places because it's been so successful and so amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm just one person and I have a wait list. And I
Wow.
feel guilty for that because I wish that I could take more children because I guess ultimately I have a big vision. I feel like sometimes I'm trying to back myself here, and this feels unnatural. So,
Go for it. Love it.
oh, it makes me so uncomfortable, but I feel like I have to, at some point, I just have to like own it and go for it. And if it all doesn't work out, that's okay. But um, my aim is to have this in every suburb. I want people, teachers specifically, to feel empowered to leave the system,
Yeah.
to know that they can go and create their own program.
Yeah.
Something like Little Cabbages, where you're not teaching a full overstuffed curriculum, data gathering, doing things that feel unnatural to you in a classroom setting, being able to take control of your environment, draw on your own strengths, because that I think is the key. So some people might not love process art, and that's okay. Maybe they really love literacy. Amazing. Like, teach reading and writing, do it. Like, the kids, the families will come. Like, there are so many people leaving the system. Teachers and students, families are deciding this is not working.
Yeah.
The teachers are burned out, they're exhausted, even if they're still, going through the motions or still, feeling like optimistic that things might get better. Or maybe they are enjoying it and like amazing. I love that for them. It feels like the education system is in its death throes. That's how it feels to me.
Mm.
And what next? What's the answer? Because I don't think that it's going to change from the inside out. And I think that we need to come together as a community and create these grassroots movements to prove or to show the government that we are serious, that this isn't working for us anymore, that we want something different. And whether that's my model or if it's something else that's developmentally research backed, like that is actually good for children, that's actually good for humans, and actually helps us to move into a future that we want. Like, that's all I want. Because I can see how much the children are thriving here. I've got children who have school trauma, children who have anxiety, dyslexia, they're neurodivergent, kids who have never been to school and have absolutely no neurodivergency at all. And every single one of them has thrived. Parents who were saying, I don't know how it's going to go. Like, can we do a trial? Can we just, every single one of them has been with me since I started the program, and it's grown since then. And I can't expand as one person much more than what I'm doing. And I know there are other teachers out there like me. I know that there are people out there who are looking around thinking, what do we do? How do we make a change? And I really want to help. So, like, ask me questions. If anyone's out there listening and thinking, tell me more, like, please come and ask me questions. I'd be so happy to help people to get something off the ground. And I just keep thinking historically, this is how kinder started, right? And this is how childcare started, where mums, specifically mums, looked around and thought, we need a solution. And it worked because it was community driven and it was developmentally appropriate. And it was a couple of hours a day, maybe twice a week. But mums could go back home, have a breather, have a cup of tea, get their chores done, go and pick up their children who'd had a beautiful, enriching experience with a teacher who understood child development. And that was what they needed. And I don't think that 30 hours a week for 3-year-olds with 40 other children in a room is what children need. I don't think that 30 children in a classroom watching a screen all day, sitting at desks, doing worksheets is what children need. So how do we change it? And this is the only answer that I've come up with.
It's fabulous. And I think inspiring like to teachers and also parents who are thinking that like there's alternatives out there with people like you running this kind of thing and, people they can reach out to for advice and help. So for people who are considering homeschooling, whether it be teachers or non-teachers, what would be your biggest advice be, and anything to read or resources to have a look at while they're making this big decision?
Honestly, just do it. I think go to your community catch ups. Like if you go on Facebook and start looking up homeschool groups, you will very quickly find homeschool groups in your area. So there's a Maroondah one. There's one called Living Free, which is probably the biggest one for anywhere from like the eastern to the northern suburbs. Like it sort of encompasses that whole area. They do catch ups, they move around, but that is the most beautiful, welcoming group. Um, if you search for, I don't know, there's one for the Yarra Ranges. I'm sure that you've come across a few in your area as well. Um, Start looking up those groups, go to a couple of catch ups, even if you're not sure, even if you feel uncomfortable. They are so welcoming and kind. Everyone's happy to answer questions, and you can just see for yourself what it's like. What's a day in the life like?
Yep.
It doesn't hurt to give it a try. And if you choose not to, that's fine too. Um, I think some of the things that radicalized me were pages again on Facebook. Visible Child is an incredible resource for me for parenting, but it helps you to have that lens shift and to start thinking through a child's perspective as well, which for me is so important because at the end of the day, why are we all here? We're all parents, right? Like we all want what's best for our children. And to be able to see it through a different perspective sometimes really helps. The occupational therapist is also a really good resource. So she does a lot of um, OT related things, but because she's been in schools, you get a really good perspective on what's going on and
Cool.
how does it feel for the children in a like quite a factual way as well, which I found really helpful. I know the Start Raving Dad podcast is really popular with people who are learning about homeschooling. Um, and then just, I guess, learning about child development. Like once you know, you can't unknow it.
Yeah.
And it starts becoming glaringly obvious. And there's so much that you can learn from there, all about human history and how we've evolved and how this is a very unnatural way of being. And it feels like we are in end stage capitalism and these systems are starting to fall apart, but we need things that are going to be carrying things forwards because obviously we do need childcare. We do need places where children can gather and learn.
Yeah.
But what should that look like? So I guess that's where I've come from. And other people probably come from different perspectives as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been, really powerful to hear your journey and everything that you've shared. I feel like people listening would just be like, "Oh," like, I feel relieved listening to you. I'm like, "Oh,
I'm
great.
glad.
This is amazing, like, things are gonna be okay. She's doing it. She's got her own program. Her kids are thriving. Like, it's okay to step out of the schooling system and do something different. Like, everything is going to be
It
okay."
really is. I promise it's okay. In fact, it's better than okay. This is probably the happiest and healthiest any of us have been in our whole lives.
Yeah.
Like, we are just, as a family, we're thriving. We're so happy. Like, there's time to cook, there's time to breathe, there's time to just spend time in nature. We don't feel rushed, like we go to activities and it's empty because people are at work and school.
Yeah.
And we just, we just enjoy it. Yeah.
Sounds absolutely amazing. Was there anything else you wanted to share before we say goodbye?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. I don't think so. I think we've covered everything. I've just talked at you for an hour. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's been inspiring. Thank you so much. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. And I will link Little Cabbages and all the resources that you have shared as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It was really lovely to chat to you. And I hope that this really helps people and they find your TikTok. I'll share it on my platforms too.
Oh, yeah. Sounds good. All right. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.